out with a little bit of keyboard to get my mind flushed out, and I'm going to call in Spirit to help us with this tarot reading. We're going to be using the Rider-Waite tarot deck, and we're going to do it in the Celtic cross formation. So it's going to be 10 card spread. And I'm going to set my keyboard down and we'll get started. So today I chose the theme of restarting a project or an endeavor, or maybe a side hustle or something that you've been doing in the past and then you kind of went away from for a while. And you might have that feeling, if you're here today, to maybe restart that project, or start a new version of that project. And so we're going to do a spread on maybe some insight on restarting a project. Alright, so before we get started, I did choose the Magician as a significator. I feel that the Magician is a perfect match for this reading as a significator, meaning that you may already have the tools, the knowledge, possibly you've already got a setup, or maybe you just have experience with this, and so I think the Magician represents that idea that you've been there before, you've created something in this sense, and so we're going to use that as the significator. Alright, so we're going to shuffle a little bit and think about starting this new endeavor, which we've possibly done before, and revisiting this idea or this project. Alright, so we're going to cut the deck. And our first card is the Hangman. And this covers him. Alright, our second card is Queen of Swords. And we're going to say this crosses him. And we're asking Spirit for some insight on restarting projects that we may have done before, but we took a break for whatever reason. Life happens, and so we're here thinking about it again. Alright, so here's our third card, and that crowns him, and that will be the Knight of Wands. Alright, and then our next card is what's beneath him, and that is the Hermit in reverse. Alright, and what is behind him? Well, strength is behind him. And I like that. I think that's going to be a good message. Alright, and what is before him? We've got 9 of Pentacles. Alright, 9 discs. And so far, it seems like a good spread for the idea. And we're going to lay the rest of the cards and try to make an interpretation, maybe try to get some intuitive thoughts going. Okay? So, for number 7, we've got the Fool, and this represents himself. And that makes sense to me so far. Alright. And then, to number 8, we've got the Emperor, and that's his house. That makes sense, and we're going to go into this a little bit heavier. Alright, and number 9, we got King of Swords in reverse. And last but not least, we've got the 6 of Swords. And I think that's a good finalizing message for the whole spread. Now, let's go ahead and kind of interpret what's going on here and try to get a full message. Alright. So remember that our significator was the magician, which signifies that we've already been there. We know how to do the thing, whatever the thing is. We have the ability, we've been there, we took a break, but we know how to we kind of know how to get started back again. So we're just trying to get a little insight on the actual action of getting started. All right. So the hangman, I mean, you know, it's telling me a little bit here. I mean, I'm thinking it's not a dead end. It's change is happening. You know, something's changing with the whole situation. It's not going to be the exact same situation as last time we did it. Maybe you're going to want to take a different approach in some sense. You already know how to do it, but you might want to keep a fresh way of looking at it, you know. You're not necessarily being punished here by making things more difficult or whatnot, but you may need to take a different approach to the whole situation. Let's see if we can get some more insight here. So the obstacles would be the Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords tells me you might be overthinking a little bit here. And that's Misha. She likes to chime in once in a while. And usually when I start doing a video, she wants the attention, so we're just going to let her go. And she might even be the Queen of Swords at this moment. Not really, but we're going to let her join in the background. So, Queen of Swords. It's telling me maybe we should just go ahead and do it, not overthink about it, but be patient with yourself and the process. Alright, so let's see if we can get some more insight. What crowns him was the Knight of Wands. Alright, so the Knight of Wands, it's represents fears of maybe not being sustainable, maybe whatever caused you to end this process before, it could happen again, right? And so you want to you don't know if you want to take the risk. So yeah, it's a fear of a repeat process. Like, it's kind of a fear that it might just end the same way or a different way. So it kind of goes with the idea that we might have to take a different approach, but not to just give up on the whole project. You can still do it, but we might need to structure it a little differently. Okay, so we'll keep going. So we've got the Hermit. That's what was beneath him. Or that's what is beneath him. And, in reverse. So it's telling me that there's a strong foundation, and So you've got the skills, you got the background information, you know how to start this project. You've been there, done that, and you ended for whatever reason, but you know where to start. We can maybe stop thinking about whether we should do it and just go ahead and do it. Maybe stop contemplating about the whole situation. Since it's in reverse, I think that we've already gone inward enough. And so it's time for some action, probably. Okay. And so what is behind him was strength. So you've got wisdom already. You've done this before. And you have the strength in you to do it again. It may not be the same exact situation, but you know that you have that there. You know that you have the strength. What else could I say about that? You're restarting something, so you kind of have to come in with that strength. You don't want to come in weak. You want a good some good momentum. So we'll keep that in mind. So what is before him? We've got 9 of Pentacles. Now, I have to think about that one for a second. So this project, it might bring some joy into your life that you've been missing out on, maybe. Sorry about the lighting. Possibly you've found that you're missing that joy from this project or the side hustle or whatever it is that you used to do. You used to find joy in that project, in the process. So, you know that if you do it, you can find that joy again. So I think that's what this card represents. So representing yourself would be the Fool. And I think this is a good card. I think that this tells you to keep a beginner's mindset, to maybe stay playful about it, keep a light heart. Don't judge yourself too much, just get started. Just go ahead and do it, and don't be afraid to learn something new about it. Don't get stuck on thinking that you know everything about it already, because there's a good possibility that you can make some improvements. You might have to adjust a little bit to your situation. So that's what I have to say about the Fool. So the house, your house, that represents, your surroundings, the structure. And the Emperor is a good card for this. It's, let's maybe reinforce the structure. You might have to recreate or build a different type of structure that you're used to in this situation. So I'm thinking about, I used to grow a lot of gourmet mushrooms, and it was a hobby of mine, and I found a lot of joy in it. And I would have to set up, all the structures, to actually grow and farm a product. And so I think the Emperor represents forming the structure again. Okay. And that might mean that you need to figure out a good schedule. You might have to set some boundaries and rules for yourself to get started and then continue onto that path. Okay, and so what represents the fears and hopes would be the King of Swords in reverse. Alright, and so I think you're hoping for clarity. I think the fear would be, it goes back to the idea that if you start this project, it may fail. I think basically it's telling you to go with the flow. It's telling you don't get stuck in the fear or the hopes, because it's in reverse, and it's telling you maybe the clarity is already there, so don't get stuck on anything specific. I think we go back to the Fool card. It's telling us just go ahead and get started and have a beginner's mindset. Okay, and so our last but not least card is the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords, I think it's telling us we're on our way to a safe haven. I think it's telling us that we're headed to calmer waters. I think that we're on a passage to a safe place within this idea of starting this project. I think that on the other side is a safe haven. I think it's telling us to just go with the flow, and so I think, we've got a full message going on here. Okay, so restart the project. Go ahead and just do it. Go for it. Don't repeat exactly how you did it. Maybe you want to watch a couple of videos or read a book, maybe a few books, maybe some audiobooks, and get the gist of things. You're restarting. You might not be the same person, and the project might not be the same as before, but you do have the tools and you have the strength. And so I'm saying to just go for it, and I think the significator is the magician. That really kind of represents you as somebody that has the tools to get started and just keep a beginner's mindset. I think that's really the main thing here, is keep a fresh mind and be ready to adjust things and make sure you find some good structure. Thank you for being here. This is my first tarot YouTube reading, and so I apologize for the nervousness, and I hope you guys have a great day, great week, great year, and thank you for being with me.